Hey everyone, RemanX here, and I'm going to share with you kind of a secret to unlocking this character and why he's still valuable. Even though you notice on my roster that he may not be hearted and favorited in the way that you might see the normal rest of my roster. The reason being is when you look at your legendary characters, he is still a significant character. And he does exist prior to the major stat boost, but the stat boost was really kind of to counter him. So when you look at legendaries, we're going to talk about what I think are the keys to building if you're trying to build for the future. Oh, if I spelled legend right. And so you're going to find that I built Black Bolt, regret it instantly. Without the stat rework, he's pretty useless. The reason why I built Phoenix is she is still part of the Phoenix Force, but Quasar being one of the newer characters. And then you look at Shadow King being the most recent legendary released prior to that, and then Old Man Logan being in that rotation. Those are the three characters, with the exception of the reworks here, that have really had the most value to build on your roster. So when it comes down to it, Old Man Logan's still a very valuable character, still great in war. You notice I didn't bring his ISO all the way up. He is someone that you still likely use inside of the raids if you're pushing higher level raids. So he'll get a purple ISO if for some reason there isn't a mutant raid team on the horizon. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You'll see that as far as mutants go, I've kind of hedged my bets on that as well. So let's talk about Old Man Logan trials. Now, Old Man Logan trials were probably one of the most divisive when they were announced to the community. And you'll see they made some changes when we look at the Shadow King in a couple of days here. But there is more than one way to do this to get the base unlocked. So if you look at this, you really just have to get to 1.1 million to get that token to get the unlock. Now, there's a few different ways. Now, first, if you look right here, you can do one node, and you can scale this back a little bit, potentially on difficulty 14 a little bit to get the 1.1 million. I'll go to 115, and I'll show you why I pick these. One thing I want to tell you is, if you're punching up, like if you're not high enough level, so I recommend probably targeting Old Man Logan ideally after level 75. And the main reason is, in order to get the amount of points that you're going to need to unlock him, which is the 1.1 million, you would struggle with some of the characters because the gear tier 14 is really a breakpoint. And I'll probably do a really in-depth video for new and even veteran players to understand how some of these characters are built. But it's really a breakpoint, really where you see these characters get full functionality, because before that, they don't have the focus and or resistance to really survive a lot of attacks when this becomes important. We talk about Cosmic Hero characters, which is quite a few, especially right now with the idea that if you really want to do a run with 14 or 15, and we'll show you why we can do that, especially if you have the new Fantastic Four built up, you can probably push up a little bit higher, because you'll have that first node is relatively easy to beat. And we'll talk about the 8 characters, so that's both on both sides, so it's both enemy and you too, so you get an extra heals, especially from a character like Old Man Logan, and others that heal themselves. Spider Society, I would be careful. They're on nodes, and Sinister Six are on nodes, so I would not do that because you're not really using those in your roster most likely. And then the villain controller characters, which you may have to get the extra points in there. Berserker Barrage. This any character defeats an enemy, fill their speed bar by 15%. Again, it's helpful to you. Crucible are going to be important, and we're going to talk about that potentially. You can turn that off if you're trying to do higher level difficulties, the 14 or 15. But I'm going to show you what I did for my roster to do it at level 74. So I did it before I hit level 75. Now, I will say that the war ability is active on this run, plus some of the other abilities to kind of get things done with some of how these characters work is helpful, especially when we're talking about the extra points, because some of the, turning these on are designed to give you extra functionality out of your team, and war was specifically designed for me to be able to utilize my my out of time team. So I did it on difficulty difficulty 10 here. I did just the first few nodes here. You'll see I did it all the way up until Again, you'll see out of time is utilized here early. I did it all the way up until I think I want to say we hit the next Cabal, Emma Frost, or Loki. So doing just 5 nodes with villains, hero skill, which again, you probably should be working up your vigilante team, your cosmic bio team, which is your annihilators, and your Fantastic Four team now. So you have pretty easy. The problem is going to be out of time. So we tried to build them up with what they give to you as part of these milestones. So inside of your milestones, you're going to get the Back to the Wasteland milestones. You might have been able to get these a few different times, but you'll see they give you some of these characters specifically. Captain Carter, Starbrand, and a few others. When the Back to the Wasteland, there was a couple other characters that you get as well from the beginning. So I'll show you what I had to do for my out of time. Now this is going to say that didn't feel great to do this. If you can figure out a way, if you've got a little bit wider roster, which means more characters unlocked at higher levels than my current roster, you can try to push the 15 and the 14 and the 15s difficulty to try to push those on the first node using the majority of your roster to overcome it. But if you want to just use the out of time and have a decent war team, or at least something that has some utility, they're annoying, but they are far from valuable right now. So the big difference was being able to use his passive. And again, you'll see at level 84, I had not hit level 85 yet, so I did not bring them up to the next tier level. And these guys unlock, with the exception of Ghost Rider and Captain America, at GT 13. So with the exception of some of the ability, and again, you'll see I even didn't do all the abilities here. So once I got the passive on BK, which was the T4, which is the only T4 I have on the team. And by T4, I mean the T4 ability mats. Once I got the passive that basically guarantees him a charge at the end of each of his turns, he was able to pretty much slow down the enemy team, and then using select characters to go through it was helpful. It is something you're going to have to reset a few times to get used to it. But again, you're getting a very powerful character in Old Man Logan. So just from a early perspective, I will say that if you guys want to check out my Twitch VODs, you can go to my Twitch, which is linked in the video here. You can look at my VOD, you'll see it's an Old Man Logan day. I will highlight it for you guys so you can take a look at it. And just if you guys want to review it, there's lots of resets. There isn't a lot of strategy other than just getting the right RNG, which is one of the reasons why we kind of seen these disappear from the mainstream, although we are in the middle of a danger room. That's a little bit more of an RNG fest than we typically would like to see. And then the Quasar Red Stars is very reminiscent of a Scourge/Trial event where we had to go and do some RNG to make sure we get through the nodes. So what I will say is be patient. Don't overspend. If you miss it for one of the, like, let's say you're level 74 and you're like, I don't really want to bring up these characters, there might be a better system. If you wait a little bit longer, if you're spending your cores daily, one set up to 50, and making sure you're checking your web milestones for the extra energy that you get from there, you can accumulate some orbs, complete your daily objectives, and get about every 2 to 2.5 days after 74, you will get a level. So just being patient, understanding that the levels will come, and you will eventually be able to match the power, or even in some cases overpower the challenge. That is the key. But Old Man Logan is going to be the reason why I chose him is he is probably, even with the addition of Blastar, going to be part of my legendary rotation, unless the other unannounced legendary for Nihilus comes out before then, before I'm starting to push Dark Dimension 7, etc. But I highly believe that I will be level 105 before that next within 3 months, when that next character comes into existence. So again, trying to understand how to minimize the investment in your characters with the way that training mats are right now. It's essential. Again, Null did not have a major impact for me in those modes, but having him would have helped you with some of these. You'll notice I've already brought my roster up and started Dark Dimension 5. So this is a recent kind of path here, and I will say that Old Man Logan still substantially better than many of the other legendaries in the game. In fact, I absolutely regret building this up. So we'll see if not Cabal, Illuminati really has some value on the next run. I'll probably try and record both for Shadow King, since he is probably the most substantial legendary that we're going to have to struggle for on newer accounts. So stay tuned. He should be out in a couple of days. We'll start seeing that prep for Shadow King once Old Man Logan moves out of rotation. And then we'll plan on how the account's going to go forward. So we'll do another Shadow King guide in the next little bit here so that we get an idea of what's coming up. So stay tuned. A lot more new player content. I'm going to go through a lot of the basics because I don't think it's adequately described in a lot of this. And if you guys want to tune in on Twitch, you guys can hang out with me, ask me questions, and I'll do my best to answer you. Again, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know everything that's coming to the game, but I am saying that I am trying to minimize wasted resources on my roster, even though you'll see some on teams that may have been a little bit older. I did test the Morgan Le Fay challenges and to see if it was worth it. And besides a Mega Orb, probably not. So we've kind of stopped building those characters. We may revisit Apocalypse at some point if it becomes a value, but we'll see. Unfortunately, I think Apocalypse had one of the smallest windows for viability of a character release. Although we do see, because most of the characters that came out after him kind of counter him. So, all right, guys, see you soon. Make sure I do things so you don't have to, and I'm completely free to play on this account, considering that I probably bought many of the executives their homes in the previous time I played.